Imagine you're flying at 37,000 feet over the icy waters of Alaska. A 404-seater Boeing 747 suddenly goes out of control and enters a death spiral. The rudder system completely fails, the plane is constantly turning to the right, and the pilots are trying to control this giant airplane with only engine power. This is the incredible story of Northwest Airlines Flight 85. And if you like this kind of real aviation drama, subscribe now and don't forget to like it. Today, I will tell you about perhaps the most incredible rescue operation in aviation history. This story is so dramatic that it may sound like a Hollywood movie, but every word is true. The beginning of the story. An ordinary day. October 9, 2002, an ordinary Wednesday. The fall weather is in Detroit. The leaves are starting to turn yellow. Detroit Metropolitan Airport is as busy as ever. Thousands of passengers are rushing from one terminal building to another. In the midst of this chaos, Northwest Airlines Flight 85 is preparing to depart for Tokyo. The passengers waiting at the gate are mostly Americans and Japanese citizens traveling on business. No one can imagine the horror they will experience in a few hours. Airplane, Boeing 747-444, tail number N661 US. Built in 1989, this giant aircraft is 13 years old and has 63,000 hours of experience. Passenger capacity, 386 people. Crew, 18 experienced aviation professionals. The responsibility for a total of 404 lives will rest on the shoulders of 3 pilots tonight. In the cockpit, there are 3 professionals who will go down in aviation history, who will be remembered for their heroism, which they did not yet know that day. Captain John Hansen, 58 years old, 35 years of experience in the aviation industry, 20,000 flight hours, Boeing 747 expert, having worked for many years at Northwest Airlines, a calm, methodical pilot who never loses his cool in times of crisis. Second pilot, Frank Geib, also 58 years old, 27 years with Northwest. He is an experienced aviator who works in perfect harmony with Captain Hansen and knows the procedures perfectly. Flight engineer Joe Lopes, technical expert who knows every screw, every system of the Boeing 747. He will play a critical role in the crisis that night. Normal flight, the calm before the storm. Subscribe to DeepL Pro to edit this document. Visit www.dpl/pro for more information. It's 14:30 Detroit local time. The plane makes a perfect takeoff. Weather conditions are ideal, wind calm, visibility clear. The 747 takes off majestically and heads east towards the Pacific Ocean. The first hours are completely normal. The plane reaches a cruise altitude of 37,000 feet. The autopilot system is on, everything is going as planned. Passengers are relaxed, cabin attendants are serving food, children are playing games, businessmen are working on their laptops. According to the flight plan, this is a total journey of 13 hours and 25 minutes. Arrival in Tokyo, Narita at 17:55 local time the next day. A routine international flight, a route that has been done thousands of times. In the cockpit, pilots are doing routine checks. Weather reports are being received, system checks are being made, fuel calculations are being reviewed. Everything is normal, even boring. But there is a well-known saying in aviation, the more boring the flight, the better, because excitement often means danger. There are no problems for the first 5 hours. The plane passes over Alaska, icy mountains and snowy plains lie below. Passengers watch the magnificent view from the window. No one knows that in a few minutes, they will be fighting for their lives under this beautiful scenery. Moment of crisis, the moment when life changed. It's 1940, UTC, 400 miles south of Alaska. over the cold waters of the Bering Sea at 37,000 feet. And suddenly, everything changes. The airplane starts to veer uncontrollably to the right. First, a slight swaying, then an increasingly violent turning movement, as if a giant invisible hand is pushing the plane to the right. Captain Hansen's first reaction is surprise. What the hell is going on? What the hell is going on? But the experienced pilot's surprise lasts only a few seconds. He immediately switches to manual control. The autopilot system is alerting, beeping. The system automatically tries to make a correction, but fails. The plane continues to turn, even increasing its speed. Captain Hansen tries the helm controls, no response. He presses the pedals, shakes the control lever, no effect. The plane behaves as if it lives on its own. Meanwhile, panic breaks out in the passenger cabin. Drinks are sliding off tables, trolleys are tipping over, children are crying. Adults look at each other worriedly. What's happening? Why is the plane shaking? Is this normal? Passengers are asking questions to the cabin crew, but they don't know what is happening. First 10 minutes, struggle for survival. To a war in the cockpit, 3 experienced pilots are experiencing one of the most critical moments of their careers. Captain Hansen is trying all the manual controls, aileron controls, elevator controls, trim settings. He tries everything, but the rudder system is completely unresponsive. Second pilot, Frank Geib, starts the emergency procedures. He opens the emergency checklist and goes through it page by page. At the same time, he makes an emergency call on the radio. Mayday, 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 Northwest 85 heavy. We have a flight control problem. Flight engineer Joe Lopes is focused on the system panels, hydraulics, electrical systems, engine parameters. He checks everything. He's trying to find the source of the malfunction. But the terrible truth is becoming clearer and clearer. The rudder control system has completely failed. This is catastrophic for a Boeing 747. Because the rudder is critical for the directional control of the aircraft. Without rudder, it is almost impossible to control the airplane. When Captain Hansen realizes this terrible truth, he makes a decision that will go down in aviation history. He abandons traditional control methods and tries a completely different technique. Incredible strategy, flying on engine power. We're going to fly this airplane with power settings. Captain Hansen's words show how critical the situation was at that moment, because controlling an airplane with engine power is an extremely risky technique that is never used under normal conditions. But they have no choice. Here begins this incredible technique. They run the engines on the left side more strongly. They run the engines on the right side weaker. With this asymmetric power distribution, they try to balance the tendency of the plane to turn to the right. At the same time, they are constantly making trim adjustments. They try to balance the nose weight, tail weight of the airplane by adjusting it. They change the engine power every 30 seconds. Because the airplane is in constant motion, wind conditions are changing. New adjustments are required every moment. This technique requires the coordinated work of 3 pilots, 1 on engine controls, 1 on trim settings, and 1 on overall coordination. Decisions made in fractions of a second determine the lives of 404 people. Panic in the passenger cabin and heroic cabin crew. Meanwhile, what happened in the passenger cabin is not unlike a movie scene. The airplane is constantly tilted to the right. This is extremely uncomfortable for passengers. They feel like they are constantly shifted to one side. Their balance is disturbed. Drinks keep slipping off the tables. Service trolleys are moving even though they are fixed. Even going to the restrooms becomes difficult. But the real problem is psychological. Passengers feel that something has gone terribly wrong. Even experienced travelers have never encountered such a situation. Children are crying, parents are trying to calm them down, elderly passengers anxiously look out the window, young passengers take out their phones and try to write their last messages. In the midst of this chaos, the cabin crew displays incredible professionalism. The chief cabin attendant, Sue McCain, is a 20-year veteran aviator. She understands the gravity of the situation, but tries not to cause panic. Ladies and gentlemen, we are experiencing a technical problem. Our pilots have the situation under control. Please fasten your seatbelts and remain calm. But the passengers are too experienced to be convinced. This is not normal, passengers shout. There are mothers asking, "Is the plane going down?" Sue McCain and her team are constantly going around the cabin, trying to calm the passengers one by one, keeping children occupied, comforting the elderly, checking everyone's seatbelts. But only the 3 pilots in the cockpit know the truth, how critical the situation is. 3-hour life and death struggle. And so begins one of the longest, most dramatic emergency operations in aviation history. 3 hours, 180 minutes, 10,800 seconds. During this time, the pilots are constantly trying to control this giant airplane using only engine power. Every minute is a struggle. Every second is a challenge. Captain Hansen is in his left seat, constantly watching the engine control panel, thrust levers in his right hand, trim controls in his left. His eyes are constantly on the instrument panel, monitoring every parameter. Second pilot, Frank Geib, always on the radio. He is coordinating with air traffic controllers, planning an emergency landing, searching for alternative airports. As a systems expert, flight engineer Joe Lopes is constantly problem-solving. He checks the status of the hydraulics, tries to activate redundant systems, and tries to pinpoint the exact source of the failure. During these 3 hours, none of them go to the toilet or even drink water. They are in full concentration. Because 1 second of inattention can cost the lives of 404 people. Every 30 seconds, the engine power is recalibrated because the airplane is in constant motion. The wind changes, weather conditions change, fuel consumption changes. Every change requires new adjustments. Critical conversations with the tower, life's having communication. During these 3 hours, vital conversations take place between pilots and air traffic controllers. After the first Mayday call, all Pacific Region air traffic controls are tracking Northwest 85. The conversation with Anchorage approach control shows the seriousness of the situation. Northwest 85, what is the nature of your emergency? We've completely lost rudder control. The plane keeps wanting to turn right. We are fighting with engine power and we need to land as soon as possible. Roger. Northwest 85. Anchorage Airport is available. Runway 6, Seoul ready, winds light and variable. We accept Anchorage. We request emergency teams to stand by. There are 404 people on board. The phrase 404 souls on board is a standard expression in aviation to indicate the seriousness of an emergency. But that night, this number shows the burden of responsibility that the 3 pilots carried on their shoulders. Anchorage controllers are taking immediate action. All emergency protocols are activated. Approach to Anchorage City mobilization. A full mobilization begins at Ted Stevens Anchorage International Airport. Airport Director John Parrott alerts all emergency teams. More than 20 fire trucks are deployed next to the runway. All kinds of firefighting equipment are on standby. Ambulance fleet mobilizing. All major hospitals in Anchorage are alerted. Emergency rooms are being readied. Operating rooms are being evacuated. All other traffic at the airport is being stopped. Commercial flights are being diverted, private flights canceled. All runways and taxiways are being kept open for Northwest 85. Search and rescue teams are also on standby because no one is sure that the plane will land safely. Preparations are being made for the worst scenarios. Except for the city of Anchorage is getting wind of it. The local media starts to follow the situation. People are praying and sharing messages of support on social media. Final approach. Achieving the impossible. It's now 50 miles from Anchorage. The radar screens show the dot of Northwest 85. But this is not a normal approach. The airplane is still in a steady drift to the right. Final system checks are being carried out. Fuel status is being evaluated, checking the landing gear. Everything's working, but the rudder system is still unresponsive. Captain Hansen is giving final instructions to his crew. We will make this approach very slowly, below normal landing speed. We'll adjust direction with the engine controls. If we fail, we'll go around and try again. But everyone knows that go around is very risky because going up again means increasing engine power, which can make it even more difficult to control the plane. Last tower speech coming up. Northwest 85, you are authorized to land on runway 6 left, emergency crews standing by, wind calm, visibility clear. Northwest 85 understood. We will take this approach very slowly and very carefully. We'll let you know if we need a go-around. Understood. Take your time. The airport is all yours. Take as much time as you need. Miraculous landing. 404 lives saved. Final approach commencing. The plane descends 20 knots slower than normal. Every meter controlled, every second calculated. The pilots are showing their final concentration. After 3 hours of struggle comes the crucial 5 minutes. The plane is approaching the runway but still tends to drift to the right. Even at the last moment, Captain Hansen corrects the plane with engine adjustments. Ground controllers are holding their breath. Emergency teams are standing by. The entire city of Anchorage is watching this moment. And 2223 UTCC. Wheel screeches. The plane is safely touching the runway. 404 people land safely. Only 5 passengers were slightly injured during the panic. No one else was hurt. When the plane comes to a safe stop, 3 pilots look at each other in the cockpit. After 3 hours of struggle, they had achieved the impossible. In the passenger cabin, there is applause. There are passengers crying, rejoicing, praying. Everyone realizes they are alive. Emergency crews are surrounding the plane, but they don't need to intervene. No fire, no smoke. Everyone is safe. Technical analysis, the reason for the Arizonan. A detailed investigation in the following days reveals the terrible truth. Main cause, complete failure of the Rudder Power Control Unit, PCU system. The Boeing 747's rudder control system is dual redundant, so if one system fails, the backup system takes over. But that night, both the main system and the backup system stopped working. The rudder is completely locked in the right position. In this position, the airplane is constantly tending to turn to the right. Hydraulic system depressurized. Servo valve system has failed. Feedback mechanisms have stopped working. Even manual rudder control is impossible. This type of malfunction is statistically 1 in 10 million, so it is so rare as to be almost impossible. Boeing experts explained that the probability of making a safe landing after a similar failure is less than 5%. But the crew of the Northwest 85 accomplished the 5% impossible. Recognition of heroes. Aviation's highest award. After the incident, Captain John Hansen and his crew received the highest recognition in the aviation world, Superior Airmanship Award. This award is one of the most prestigious awards in aviation. EA Distinguished Service Award, Federal Aviation Administration Special Service Award. He is named Pilot of the Year and goes down in aviation history. But the biggest reward is that 404 people have been reunited with their families. Dozens of thank you letters from passengers. I owe you my life. Thank you for the chance to see my children again. I am alive today because of your professionalism. Long-term impact, the future of aviation. This event profoundly affects the aviation industry and leads to many developments. Boeing 707 systems are undergoing radical changes. ECU system completely redesigned, strengthening backup system protocols, developing manual override systems, improving diagnostics systems. Pilot training programs are being revolutionized. Engine control trainings will be mandatory for all airlines, adding this scenario to simulator programs. CRM crew resource management trainings are strengthened. Emergency procedures are being rewritten. The FAA and international aviation authorities are issuing new regulations, improving emergency reporting systems, tightening maintenance control protocols, increasing pilot certification requirements, worldwide repressions, an event referred to as a miracle. Northwest Airlines Flight 85 is getting a lot of attention in the world media. Miracle on the Tundra. 747 saved by heroic pilots. The impossible landing. Programs such as Discovery Channel, National Geographic, Air Crash Investigation are documenting this event. Aviation experts call this a textbook example. It is used as teaching material in pilot schools. Pilots around the world are studying and analyzing this incident. They are learning what to do in similar situations. Conclusion: heroes who achieved the impossible. Northwest Airlines Flight 85 is one of the most incredible, dramatic, successful rescue operations in aviation history. On the night of October 9th, 2002, in the cold skies of Alaska, 3 pilots and 18 cabin crew saved 404 lives. This story is not just a technical success story. It is a story of human dignity, professionalism, teamwork, composure, and determination. Captain John Hansen's "We're going to fly this airplane with power settings" became one of the most memorable sentences in aviation history. This sentence symbolizes the determination to never give up when faced with the impossible. This 3-hour struggle shows how safe modern aviation is, but how critical the human factor is in emergencies. 404 people were reunited with their families that night. 404 life stories were able to continue. 404 people were able to see the sun the next morning. And that was only because of the never giving up fight of the 3 heroes in the cockpit. I am very happy to share this incredible story with you. The story of Northwest Airlines Flight 85 is a perfect example of the safety of modern aviation, the extraordinary skills of pilots, and the power of the human spirit. If you like this kind of real aviation stories, pilots' heroism, and detailed technical analysis, please don't forget to subscribe, because I share similar incredible stories every week on this channel. And don't forget to click the like button. This is very important for me because it lets me know what kind of content you like. Don't forget to turn on notifications